Let's talk about macronutrients. Welcome to Food Science 1, my first video to explain the science of food. So let's talk about macronutrients. Macronutrients are the large molecules in your food. Three macronutrients: protein, fat, and carbohydrate. So let's talk about protein. Protein are strings of amino acids. What that means is picture a tower made of Legos, and the whole tower is the protein, and each Lego block is an amino acid, the building block. Amino acids are used in your body to build muscle as well as to make neurotransmitters. So, neurotransmitters are the chemicals that help dictate what your mood is in the body. And so you can imagine that if you were protein deficient, you might have a difficult time building muscle and or struggle with anxiety or depression if you don't have the amino acid building blocks for those neurotransmitters to help regulate your mood. You can get protein from meats, chicken, poultry, and fish, eggs, legumes, and lentils. Next, let's talk about fat. 60% of your brain is fat. It insulates your nervous system. All of your nerves throughout your body are lined with fat so that the nerves are directed and the electrical impulses don't just go haywire. The fat directs them. You also need fat to make your hormones. And it helps you feel full. It helps control satiety. Where can you get fat? Olive oil, avocados, coconut, butter, and of course, meats and fish. Now let's talk about carbohydrates. We've got energy from carbohydrates. I left fish off the list, so I'm not sure why I did that. So carbohydrates, these are where we get energy. They're sugars or strings of sugars that give us the energy that we need. Why do we crave carbohydrates? If we're not feeding ourselves enough, or we've gone too long between meals, our body is brilliant, your body is brilliant, and it says, wow, I need fuel super quick, the easiest amount possible. That's carbohydrates. We digest it very easily, and it gives us quick energy. So one way, totally getting off topic, but one way to manage blood sugar stability, mood stability, hunger is to eat enough more regularly, because when we go too long without nourishment, our body's brilliant. It knows what we need. It is going to kick in and say, give me carbohydrate right now. I'm going to fall over. So under carbohydrate umbrella, we talked about the sugars and the strings of sugars. We can also find fiber. Fiber's in two categories: digestible or soluble, and indigestible or insoluble. You'll hear them termed both ways. The purpose of digestible or soluble fiber is to bulk your stool so that it's easier to pass and it triggers pressure receptors in your colon so that you know that you need to have a bowel movement. It helps to regulate blood sugar, cholesterol, and helps to bind waste products to escort them out of the body. Let's talk about how fiber helps to balance blood sugar. If you have a piece of cake, for example, which is a very simple sugar to digest, your blood sugar is going to spike because it gets all that sugar from the cake. Your insulin comes, it's getting produced, it grabs all that sugar and helps it get into the cells, which makes your blood sugar plummet. So for a short period of time after a piece of cake, you have energy. Then you really don't. The insulin triggered all the cells to take up all the blood sugar, all the sugars in the cells for fuel, and you crash. That's the blood sugar cycle. That's the nightmare. When we add some soluble fiber, so for example, if you eat a treat like a brownie or something that was made with flax seeds and whole grain fibers that have some soluble fiber, whole grain flours that have soluble fiber, your blood sugar is not going to spike and crash, but it's going to come up a bit and then kind of stay where it is. So on the other hand, fiber and The indigestible or insoluble fiber is really about bulking stool, relieving constipation, and keeping the GI tract flowing. You can think of indigestible fiber as the broom that goes through and sweeps your digestive tract out. Sources of carbohydrates. Refined carbohydrates are things like white rice, pasta, cookies, cakes, brownies, things of that nature. Those are simple sugars, refined sugars. That means all the fiber was stripped out of it in processing, and you're left with the pure sugar. Whole or unrefined carbohydrates are fruits and vegetables, whole grains. Whole grains just mean that it's the whole oat groat as opposed to a refined oat flour. Or, for example, whole wheat flour that's literally the kernel of the wheat ground up and not stripped of its fiber to make white flour. Soluble fiber can be obtained from beans, vegetables, fruits, grains, flaxseed, and psyllium. Psyllium's often used as a supplement for this purpose. Insoluble fiber sources are beans, vegetables, nuts, whole grains, and flax and chia. I hope this was helpful. This is just an intro into macronutrients, into the large molecules that are contained within foods, to give you an idea of what they are, what they do in your body, and foods that you can get them from. If you have any questions, reach out. You can find me in all social media places, comment below, or send me a message. Thanks and take good care.